Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at interchangeable units and how the skill works so that you can understand everything and utilize it correctly. Now, interchangeable units are a new type of skill function. It doesn't show up in the passive section, much like domain effects. And interchangeable units basically have two different units in one. So unlike exchange units or tag units or active skill fusion units, etc., where the unit will transform or enter a new state temporarily, in this situation, you can freely switch between the two characters up until the point where you have chosen your key orbs. So once the condition is met, you can just freely switch between the two different sides of the card. Each side of the card will have different passives. The passives can be very different. In some cases, they can change how the unit works, generally to be more offensive or more defensive. They can change how the unit supports rotations. They can even change unit links. For example, Goku switching over to Vegeta will maybe lose All in the Family, but gain Royal Lineage, for example, or Prodigies, or things like that. So they can change the links, they can change the name of the card, they can change the passive, and each side can also have their own active skill as well. So it really is like having two units in one, which is huge for gameplay purposes, as you can imagine. As of now, they don't have the units changing type or anything, but I could imagine that could become an option later on. Very much like Legends, that would be something very crazy. Imagine having a unit that's both int and physical in one. But for now, the units maintain the typing. However, they can change class. So for example, Frieza goes from being extreme class to being super class when switching to Goku. One thing that does remain between both sides of the card is categories. So the card will have the categories of both units active at all times. This means that Frieza benefits from Goku's family supports, Goku benefits from Wicked Bloodline supports, for example. Something very important. Now, let's discuss linking. So obviously, if the cards are in the same state, they cannot link. So you can see here the two Gokus cannot link together, obviously because they are the same unit, the same side of the same card. If one of the Gokus is switched or reversed, then they can link. So the card can link with the other version of itself, but it cannot link with the same version of itself. So this makes pretty standard sense, much like how cards can link with the transformed versions of themselves, but cannot obviously link with themselves. Both units have separate instances of their active skills. So for example, if you take a look, we have both Gokus in the same rotation. Both Gokus can both turn into Vegito. Both Vegetos can use their active skills. This is not a problem at all. Obviously you wouldn't want to necessarily do this in the same rotation, but similarly and vice versa, if I was to switch to Vegeta, you would be able to use both Vegeta active skills in the same turn. So they're not tied to each other. I think that's something important to state. What's also important to understand is stats crossover. So stats and stacks do crossover. So for example, any stats that I have stacked up while being Goku will transfer over to being Vegeta. Vegeta, however, will apply his passive to those stats. So for example, you'll see both Goku and Vegeta have a 200% attack and defense passive, but Vegeta's defense is going up because he features support for the category on defense, whereas Goku features support for the category on offense. So only reason their stats are changing. Otherwise, any stacks they gain in either form will carry over. So if you stack attack whilst being Goku, it carries over to Vegeta. If you stack defense while being Vegeta, it carries over to Goku. And this will be the same for any other interchange card. So that's super important. Something else that is super important is the active skills will carry over. So for example, if we were to use Vegeta's active skill, which gives the unit 3 ki, and also attack and defense of 18% and guaranteed guard, all of these abilities cross over to the Goku unit once utilized. So, for example, we'll use Vegeta's active skill. We'll now place Goku in the first slot, and Goku will have guard. You can also see Goku's defense has shot up because of utilization of the active skill. So, obviously, very straightforward. I think the concept of the actives carrying over is also very good, because what it means is that you're not then restricted to just being Vegeta the whole time. Obviously, Vegeta's own benefits, like his damage reduction and things like that, are super important. But if you want to move back to Goku to take advantage of the increased offensive capabilities, but still enjoying the utilization of the extra ki and guard, yeah, it's not a problem. So there's nothing wrong with using your active skill to strengthen your other side of the card. However, once you've used that active skill, you can't now switch back to Goku, for example, and use the Vegeta active skill. Much like if you use Goku's full heal on the Goku Frieza card, you can't switch back to Frieza and use his active. Or if you use the Ghost Usher with Goku for the Gogeta LR, you can't switch back and turn into Gogeta. So it's only one utilization of an active freely per turn. And you can see that by the next turn, we can't now switch between Goku and Vegeta and use the Vegeto. We can only use the Vegeto active with the card we haven't used an active with. And that's that. That pretty much sums up everything you need to know about it. Honestly, I think it's probably the most exciting mechanic I find in terms of team building that they've introduced. I hope they really get really wacky with it, because I think it can be something really cool. Everything from changing types to changing forms to changing classes is all very interesting. And on top of all of that as well, it provides teams with multiple different options and can give units better longevity. You might find that a unit may start to struggle defensively, and you may then start to prefer, in a couple months' time, only using their defensive forms, but that's okay, because it still lets you use that unit, maybe in a different way than what you are using them now, but I think that's still very cool. So that's that from me. If you do struggle with anything or you didn't understand anything, please let me know in the comments down below. I will gladly assist you. The important thing to understand is what's summarized on the left. Active skills are shared across the effects to both cards. Stats and stacks carry over between both sides of the cards. Reverse sides can link, and of course each card can only use the active skill once. So whether you use Goku's side or Vegeta's side or Goku's side and Frieza's side, once you've used that active skill, you can no longer use anymore. That's pretty much it. So if you need any more help, let me know. But yeah, otherwise, I think for the most part, this should give you enough information to hopefully use your interchange skills effectively and your interchange units effectively. I think whenever there's a new mechanic added into Dokkan, understanding how that mechanic works is very crucial towards utilizing correctly and using the units correctly. I think ultimately that's very much where you should be kind of assessing and using your units. So yeah, other than that though, that's pretty much it from me. Honestly, like I said, if you need any more help, let me know in the comments. But if you are looking for more in-depth, detailed kind of understanding, use the mechanic yourself. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the more you try to use the mechanics, interact with them, try it out on different units, the more you'll figure out how things work and how you can utilize them best. Bye.